How's everybody doing? No. We need to commit. Can I get everybody to do me a favor and stand up? Everybody stand up. We got to bring some energy here, okay? So what we're going to do together collectively is let's just take one big breath and we're going to hold it at the top, okay? So on the count of 3, we're all going to take a big breath. So 1, 2, 3. Breathe it in. Hold it. And on 3, we're all going to exhale. 1, 2, 3. All right, I am super excited right now to bring on Rob Jepson. Rob is the CEO and founder of Xvoyant, a sales coaching platform. He was recently recognized with the Gold Stevie Award at the American Business Awards for Best Sales Technology. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with Rob during this conference, and he's just an awesome dude. I couldn't be more excited to bring him here. So let's give a warm welcome to Rob Jepson.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? We good on the volume? Okay, I promise we're going to go fast. If there's one thing I promise you, we will not be boring today, okay? Deal? All right. Everybody having fun at the conference? Yeah. Outstanding conference. I can't wait. I'm going to get down off the stage because I'm a man of the people. And so I'm going to be down here today. I do much better down here. I run a company called Xvoyant. We have thousands of sales reps in 19 countries around the world, and we're a one-trick pony. We help great leaders help their teams perform better by having structured one-on-one coaching. And that's all I'm going to say about us right now, because the topic speaks for itself. I love the topic they asked me to speak on. How do you create a dynasty? Because most of the time when people talk to us, they say, how do we just get wins? How many sales leaders say, love to just start winning sometimes with some people, right? And that usually looks like this. I'm going to get this just for a laugh to get us going, but too often as leaders, we just focus on this.
Hi there, this is All Seer. I just was experimenting with fireworks for Halloween, and I think I've perfected the mixture with sulfur, and I'm using some potassium magnesium. So I'm going to light this, and it should just sparkle a little bit. We've got this protective cloth down here. Okay, let's try this out here.
Here we go. Now listen to what he says.
Holy smokes. A little too much magnesium, I guess.
You think?
I won't do that again. Sorry about that.
Hey, the laughs are good. I like it. By the way, I'm so stoked we have a full house. Look around. We're talking about a hot topic today. Yes or no? Okay? That's what we say too often. Guess I won't try that again. Right? And so, but we're not here to talk about that today, okay? Today what you came to this session for was you want to talk about how do we build a what? Dynasty. I want you to think as I start this next film, what's the difference between a winner and a dynasty? Is there a difference? There's a big difference. I'm going to talk over this. I'm going to try to be able to be heard, but I want you to watch this and think about what a great dynasty is.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
It's not one win.
The champ is here!
It's always a win.
The champ is here!
It's not
The champ is here!
who you compete against.
The champ is here!
And it's never just one player. It's a player and a coach together, yes or no? And they don't care who they bring in and out of the program. They find ways to win again, and again, and again. And at the end of it, they may not like you because you kick their ass too many times, but they can't argue. It's non-negotiable the success of that. Is that fair to say? So today, sit back and just watch what I do. That's what we're talking about. We good? Okay, all right. That's what we're talking about today, okay? How do I build a dynasty? And let me tell you where it starts. It starts by getting, why am I going backwards? It starts by getting past the more button. When we have a killer month, a killer quarter, a killer year, what are we rewarded with? More, okay? And here's where I see too many sales leaders get stuck in the mud, okay? We use this formula. Activities yield results. And in 2018, these results were driven by these activities. What do we assume when we get 2019 goal? If I'm gonna have to go by 15 to 20% more results, does the lowercase r ever stay lowercase? It's gotta be what? Capital R. So here's my question, is that true? It's at best a maybe. It's at best, and I'm with Barry Traylor right here. I think it's a recipe for a morale problem more than anything else. That's what I think. It is for sure not the makings of a dynasty. You guys with me? Now, we are gonna talk about converting that A. That A has to convert. We're gonna say that it's not just getting the capital A. It's not as simple as just saying, let's play some games, let's have some leaderboards, and let's say, if you make a few more calls, you're gonna get there. Because it ain't what it is, okay? We are gonna talk today how you blow that R up though, and let me tell you how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna introduce it with my third video of the day. I'm gonna ask you to watch this video of the story of Chris Gardner as he was trying to win an internship with Dean Witter, okay? He was told whoever got the biggest R would get the job, and their coaching, you know what it was? Just get to capital A. Watch what he did.
Whoever brought in the most money after 6 months was usually hired.
Yes, hello, Chris Gardner calling from Mr. Walter Hahn.
We were all working our way up call sheets to sign clients. From the bottom to the top.
Yes, sir. How
From
are
the
you,
doorman
Mrs.
to the CEO.
Okay.
They'd stay till 7, but I had Christopher. I had to do in 6 hours what they'd do in 9.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
In order not to waste any time, I wasn't hanging up the phone in between calls.
Okay, thank you very much.
I realized that by not hanging up the phone, I gained another 8 minutes a day.
Why, good morning to you. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
I also wasn't drinking water, so I didn't waste any time in the bathroom.
Yes, I'd love to have the opportunity. Okay, no problem at all, sir. Thank you very much.
But even doing all this, after 2 months, I still didn't have time to work my way up a sheet.
Yes, hello. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Mr. Walter Ribbon.
Concerning?
Yes, ma'am. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
Just a moment.
Hello?
Mr. Ribbon. Well, hello, sir. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm calling from Dean Witter.
Yeah, Chris.
Yes, Mr. Ribbon. I would love to have the opportunity to sit with you to discuss some of our products, and I'm certain that I could be of some assistance to you.
Can you be here in 20 minutes?
20 minutes, absolutely.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
had someone cancel.
Okay.
Come now. I can give you a few minutes before.
All right, so his road to the capital R, was it just as simple as a capital A? No, and guess what, it never is. And that's why my first piece of advice to you as you come to this class on building a dynasty, if all you take is a goal, you probably got a recipe for a morale problem, okay? Because did his growth hacks of not going to the bathroom and not hanging up the phone work? No. But let me tell you what it did take, okay? I want you to get this with as many of your reps as you can. The pathway to the capital R is what I'm gonna call PDA, okay? I want as much PDA as possible this year with every rep on your team. Just not that kind, okay? Not that kind. When I say PDA, what we're talking about is purpose-driven activities. How do we create more purpose to the activities that we do? That's a great question as a sales leader, isn't it? How do I add more purpose? I'm going to give you a system today that creates more purpose, because more purpose equals more results. And I love this quote that comes from the creator of Dilbert. You know, all the great business solutions are found in that comic Dilbert, right? Where he says, losers have goals and winners have systems. And so I don't want you to ever just take a goal to your team ever again. We have to have systems. And so today I'm going to give you a 3-part system that will help you build a dynasty. And the reason it will help you build a dynasty is you will create new normals with every rep on your team. That's something you should be writing down and thinking about. How do I create new normals? Is that fair to say? Because that's what dynasties do. They create new normals for programs. Your job is to be a dynasty creator for your program that you're leading. Fair? Yes or no? Okay? So these 3 parts, we're gonna go fast. I'm trying hard to give you as much value and as much meat in 30 minutes as I can. And what that means is I give a little And then we talk afterwards if you want to, or you go figure out the rest. I'm going to give you a blueprint, though, that's going to work. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Number one, you must have process. Now, you may be thinking, oh, we've all heard of sales process. This is boring. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? I would be willing to bet that everybody in here that's part of a modern sales environment, they all have some kind of sales process. I was talking with Jim Dickey, Barry's partner, not as I was preparing for this. We think that somewhere north of 95% of sales orgs in the modern world have a sales process of some kind. We're not going to debate how well it's used, but we have stages and all that kind of stuff, okay? Here's the question. What percent have a structured one-on-one coaching process to support that sales process? Okay, I want you to think that through. The number that's been shared with me may surprise you, around 3%. Those that do have a ridiculous competitive advantage. And I want you to think about it. This goes to how you operationalize process. This goes to how you operationalize playbooks. This goes to how you help reps find new normals. So when I talk about process, I'm talking about a coaching process, and here's why. We participated in a study this year with Keenan and with Gong. We interviewed thousands of reps around the world, and we asked them, what's coaching like in your organization? The reps said, 48% of the time, it never happens. Only 13% of the time is it any good. I don't know if that surprises you or not, but that's an interesting finding. Here's the more interesting finding. We asked the bosses of those people, how good are you at coaching? What do you think the bosses said? Yeah, someone said it. The word they used was awesome. 83% of the time, we're awesome. Okay, now that gap should get your attention because there's two numbers that get stuck in the middle that I want you to really focus on why you need a coaching process. If you're one of the 97% that don't have a coaching process, don't feel bad. But here's what I think. These 83%, they're not lying. They think they're coaching, don't they? What they're doing isn't being perceived by the reps as valuable. So here's why it matters. Two numbers in the middle of the round to 90. 89% of the time when they say I'm getting good coaching, they actually are trying to change. Your reps are not change adverse. They're motivated people that want to succeed. And so if you can have them think that what they're having with you is a coaching opportunity and you've got their attention, they will try to change, which is why measuring coachability is a really interesting concept. Second, of the 48% of people that said they get coaching, 86% of them are hitting their number. Okay? Hopefully that's interesting. Now, I asked myself, why is there such a coaching gap? I could do the whole presentation on what's about to come here. I found there's 7 reasons why coaching fails. I call them the 7 deadly sins, okay? There's an infographic that we'll make available to you. I'm gonna go fast on it. Number 1 was we're inconsistent. We don't have a regular cadence or frequency. We're on, we're off. Oh, you're hitting your number, we'll leave you alone. You're missing your number, we're gonna talk, okay? When we meet, we're inconsistent on what we talk about, which leads to number 2, we ambush with data. How many here have their top secret super spreadsheet on all of my metrics? Yeah, I see the smiles, okay? That nobody else can see. Here's my rule of thumb. If the rep doesn't have access to it, you don't get to coach with it. Make the data available. If they can see it, there should never be new data that they don't know what it is. It creates anxiety, it creates dysfunction, there's a million reasons. Number 3, we flog the forecast. I turn a coaching opportunity into a pipeline review. And I think if I beat that pipeline enough, I can beat a few deals out of it. And we turn up the pressure rather than churning up the capabilities. Number 4, we're a crutch, not a coach. Guilty as charged. This is where I fall victim all the time. When someone has a challenge in a deal or a capability, say, let me show you how, let me do it for you. I love sales. I think we're part of the greatest profession in the world. I start doing the job and it stunts their growth instead of stimulates their growth. Next, we lack of individualization. Spreadsheet coaching needs to go away. Stack rank only coaching needs to go away. It doesn't help people want to improve. We have motivated people that want to know what makes me unique. You don't want to just get all these activities that are empty activities. And that's what spreadsheet coaching usually does. It just gives you a big A, but not a big R. Last 2, looking backwards. Here's the rule of thumb. If you're spending more than 10% of your time in a one-on-one on the past, you're spending too much time. If you have a 30-minute one-on-one, you get 3 minutes to talk about the past, so you have 27 minutes to talk about the future. Okay? Use that lens. Final, conversations, not commitments. You probably have lots of times where reps have built professional friends where they'll do anything. They'll meet with you, they'll talk with you, they'll do everything except for buy from you. Same thing happens with your reps. I talk to them all the time, Rob. I know their birthday, I know their anniversary, I know everything about them. If you're not having them make commitments on how they're going to improve, you can't expect them to change. These 7 things we've turned into an infographic. We're happy to send it to you. But let me tell you why. You should look for these 4 things. If you've ever heard this, okay, we're just checking in. That means you have dysfunctional one-on-ones. If you've ever heard either of these two things, it's micromanagement or it's big brother, you're having dysfunctional one-on-ones. And finally, if either side says they're not that valuable, you need a coaching process. Fair? Okay? And so I give you those, and so I'm wrapping up Law 1. It's about expectancy. Process gives you expectancy. I'm going to fill these arrows in. I'm going to go fast. The first thing that you'll get is why we have one-on-ones. How often should we have them? And what are we going to focus on? Set their expectancy on how that's going to work with your process. That will lead to the next grouping. Why do metrics matter in our company, and what do we plan on talking about in our one-on-ones? Okay? Expectancy, that matters, okay? Then you can say, this is why we have coaching goals, because we're committed to your continuous improvement. And that takes us to the last couple where we say over here, we're only going to be focused on you. This is the one meeting you'll have that'll be 100% about your development, and we're going to create a well-lit path to your goals, okay? And that's how you operationalize playbooks and why coachability matters. That's step one. Get a coaching process that you commit to. Because here's the 3 things you need to hear that will let you know if you have a good coaching process. Number 1, my company doesn't talk about the development of people, they're committed to it. You need to hear that from your reps or you're going to be having turnover problems. Number 2, your managers need to say, my company has invested in me as a manager in the tools and the training so I can have high impact one-on-ones. Are your managers saying that? Or are they all different? And third, are your reps saying, when I have a one-on-one, I expect that it's going to be high impact? That 3, okay, I see heads nodding. Take those 3 things. That's how you know that you have strong process if you're at those 3 things. Okay, number 2, gotta go fast. Individualization. This is where I see things blow up the most, okay? Because of lack of process, but let's talk about this one. I have found there's 2 ways that we can have PDA happen, that we can create purpose-driven activities. The first is you can wrap purpose-driven activities around your sales engine. Your sales engine has 4 cylinders if you're in B2B. Okay, here they are. First 2 are about pipeline vitality. It's the number of opportunities you chase, and it's the revenue per customer. Here's my question. Do you know the activities and skills specific inside your organization that make those 2 motions happen? Okay? What resources do we have so we can make sure that that's intentional? That's the first one. The second 2 are about pipeline efficiency, win rate and speed. I see people that have millions and millions of metrics, and that's great, but it comes down to these 4 things. If you do these 4 things well, you can be super predictive on the engine. And so we're going to talk about tuning the engine. Here's how you do it. Many of you will know this formula. It's an age-old sales equation. Growth and opportunities multiplied by growth and revenue per customer, multiplied by improvement in win rate, divided by improvement in cycle time, leads to improvement. Let me give you 4 ways that you could do that. You can see them all up there. It comes down to this. If I don't have enough opportunities, or if I want to grow faster, I might say, how do I get 10% better in opportunities? Well, instead of 10 opportunities, get 11, get 1 more. Does that scare anybody out of the room? Then we start talking about the activities that will get me that 1 more. Maybe I partner different. Maybe I prospect different. Maybe I follow up different. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, you can do that with all 4 of them. If you do your math, 1.1 times 1.1 times 1.1 divided by 0.9, you'll grow by 48%. With no new employees, no new training. But what's awesome is it's tailored to that rep. And if it's not tailored to that rep, then all they feel like is they're just another unit in your machine. Okay? And we don't want them to ever feel like they're just another unit in your machine. So that's the first thing, is you tune the engine. And here's what I would suggest. Don't ever have a one-on-one without having a conversation. Pick a number. What do you want your one-on-ones to do? I always tell people start with 10%. Can you leave a one-on-one with them saying, I have a pathway on how to get 10% better? Okay? 10% is big enough that it matters, but it's not so big that you'll scare them off. I see heads nodding, that's good. This is an example of how one of my customers does it. They chose sales velocity. We're gonna go from that fast, we're gonna take 35 days off or 40 days off. That's worth 20% growth and $3 million. That got that enterprise rep ready to say, I wanna figure out how to do that. We measure velocity by start to close, but also by stage. So you can get really good at how do we get better on that motion? And I'm telling you, reps appreciate it. Let's go to the next one, okay? Once you have a pattern on how to tune the engine, you gotta be able to tune deals. Let me tell you the biggest mistake I see people make in deal reviews. This would be a 6-stage sales process. You obviously will have your activities. We do these activities in each stage, but here's the mistake that reps make. I do this, go to the next stage, then I do this, then I go to the next stage, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, then I close. Lots of people talk about exit criteria. Here's a word of advice as someone who coaches a lot of organizations. The term exit criteria is often interpreted as, once I've done that, I can still go. And a lot of reps think they can create the exit criteria. Again, I'm going to quote Barry, a guy here in the front row that I have a lot of respect for. He has the best metaphor I've ever heard of this. I call it buyer verifiers, okay? And we do this, so the customer does this. Barry calls it, it's a toll that has to be paid. Imagine you're at a toll booth and only the customer can pay the toll. Do you know what those 1 or 2 verifiers are? Because now I do these, once I get those verifiers, then I go. Once I get those verifiers, then I go. And now I can see this is a deal that's out of alignment. This person thinks it's in stage 6 ready to close, and I can say, no, you're back here on stage 4. Our one-on-one, we're gonna figure out what are the purpose-driven activities that will help me get the missing verifier. I find that most orgs, when they get the verifiers figured out, win rates go up and cycle time comes down extremely predictably. So if you don't have verifiers and instead you're looking at exit criteria or nothing, do that. You'll find that it's remarkable. Now let me show you a format on how you blend these two. There's only 3 coaching conversations if you want a simple approach to building a dynasty. How good can you get? Tune the engine, tune the deal, okay? So we start here. This is it for my friends from Lucidchart. We use Lucidchart to do this, okay? It's a great tool if you're not using it. We start and we say, let's establish relevancy with results. We call it RAZOR, results, activities, skills, resources. Here's 3 questions. Are you hitting your production goal? That's easy, yes or no. Any system will tell you that. They already know that before the coaching conversation. Then you tack into, are you hitting your personal aspirations, yes or no? Finally, we get to process, yes or no. And let me tell you the easiest way. We've modeled it. I'm very confident about what I'm share with you. There are 3 things that remove 80% of the variability in sales. Start enough dollars to the pipeline with enough deal flow and have consistency in cycle time. You get those 3 things right and you can eliminate 80% of the variance. Okay? So if the answer to all of these 3 things would be yes for a rep, what kind of rep are we talking about? Star, top, thank you. One of the best in the company. What's the biggest mistake we make with those reps? We'll leave you alone, okay? Again, guilty as charged. No, we have that as a category 1 conversation, okay? And it's called how good can you get? We want to work with you to develop how good can you get. Let's talk about what the rounding errors are worth for you, okay? Let's talk about what the marginal discretionary effort is worth to you. Guess how much the stars like that conversation, by the way? Yeah. They love it. Guess how often they've had it from a leader before? Never. It's a way to differentiate, okay? So, by the way, I'll finish then, let me come back to this. We set a goal then on what activities will we do, what skills will we develop. We might even create custom development plans that tie to the enablement resources. So now enablement resources are used on demand rather than when demanded, okay? And you'll find that setting goals this way is awesome. They'll love it. So let's come back. If any of these were no, what do? We come down and say, well, let's examine process. Those 3 things. Are you starting enough, with enough, fast enough? If the answer is yes, you have strong process, now we're going to tune the deal. We're going to look at your deals and say, let's find those verifiers. We're going to first look for must-win deals. What are the most strategic deals? Let's look at stalled deals. What are the deals that are taking longer in stage than they typically do for you? Finally, what are the out-of-alignment deals? Deals that you think are here, but verifiers say back here. If you look at those 3 lenses, how valuable are you to your reps? Ridiculously valuable. They come saying thanks. It's tailored to them. Everyone else, tune the engine. You know, you don't have strong enough process. The only way you're going to win is if you get lucky. We're trying to take the luck out of it. One of my customers is a company named Steelhouse. It's a fast-growing ad tech company. He has that VP of sales has one of my favorite lines. He says, our job is to take the sink out of sink or swim. I love it, okay? And our job is to create swimmers. And so, regardless, category 3, you'll set activity, skill, and skill goals and use resources. You want your 3s to turn to 2s, your 2s to turn to 1s. And what kind of company are you running if you have all 1s with everyone by the end of the year? You're a dynasty, my friends. You're a dynasty. Are you with me? Yeah. You're a dynasty. Okay, so that's how we finish that one. Individualization is how you get relevant. I want to give you two things. Make sure you set a coaching goal in every one-on-one. Do not ever finish a one-on-one without a coaching goal. I promise you, it's a big deal. Measure it, tell them what their coachability is. Second, don't finish a one-on-one without having a good idea of what percent improvement they're going to get because they met with you. That's a super important way to create individuality and relevancy. Last one, we're on the home stretch. You got to be consistent. Got to be consistent. Is there any runners in the room? I hate running, okay? Anybody went on the 5K? Long race is like a 100-mile race now. Like a marathon's not even long for people anymore, which I don't get. But 100-mile races are what people are doing. You know what I think the longest race was, I don't know if it still is a race from Sydney, Australia to Melbourne, Australia, okay? You'd think the person who wins that's gonna be like one of the world's greatest athletes, fair to say? Usually how it worked is it's in 8 days where you run for 18 hours, sleep for 6, run for 18, sleep for 6, and you do that for 8 days in a row. Let me show you what happened when a 61-year-old man created new normals and did this race differently. You ready to see it?
At 19, now, when I say elite sportsman, you automatically think of a 61-year-old potato farmer wearing gumboots, don't you?
Sometimes you have events that sort of tickle a nation's funny bone or something grabs their attention, and with Cliff Young, it appealed to us on so many different levels.
And he used to run in gumboots. He was the worst dressed sports person we've ever had. These days, of course, Nike would have been there getting very special slip gumboots.
Cliff Young was, as his name suggested, young at heart. He embodied the never say die attitude many aspire to, but few achieve.
What the interesting thing about Cliff Young is that he wanted to do it, and it was remarkable what he did. I mean, he didn't cheat, he actually did it.
Oh, it's been a pretty tough run. The hills all the way, to here anyway.
And day after day, Cliffy Young, the Cliff Young Shuffle, and the whole nation fell in love with him.
Incredibly, at age 61, Cliff became the oldest marathon winner, and he took 2 days off the previous Sydney to Melbourne race record.
Do you think that you're going to make it all the way?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm going to run all night tonight, and I hope to finish tomorrow night sometime.
Here's when he won.
And he strutted the field, he just ripped them wide open. Kept going to Melbourne. If they hadn't stopped him, he would have finished in Perth.
Okay. He was a potato farmer that had sheep. And he didn't have the money to have sheepdogs and horses and all that stuff. He literally would go in the hills and chase them down. And when he heard about this race, he goes, I'm used to running 3 days at a time. I can run for a few more. And literally, here's how it went. They started the race. People got way in front. This is a live tortoise and the hare story, okay? 18 hours later, people went to bed, got their sleep. He kept running. They woke up in the morning. They're no longer in first place. They're in second. They catch him in a few hours. They go to bed. He kept running. The third day, they didn't catch him. And he didn't stop for 6 days. Now, my message is not don't ever take a day off. But what do you think happened to that race next year? How much do you think these 20-somethings like getting beat by a 61-year-old dude that took his dentures out because they rattled when he ran? You with me? The next year, everybody did the same thing. So here's my message. Consistency is your only way to create new normals. Your message, my message to you, as leaders, sign up to create new normals, okay? Sign up to create new normals, and if you do that and you follow the 3-step process, process gives you expectancy, individualization gives you relevancy, consistency gives you new normals. Whoops, sorry, okay? And if you start and stop, you will lose the trust and confidence of your team. But if you do, this will happen. I want to finish with my favorite story. We're right on the buzzer here. I want to send you with this because I think this lesson is a great one to leave with. I want to leave you fired up, ready to go, like create new normals in every company you lead. Nothing fires me up more when people that I meet and speak with come back to me with, let me tell you about my new normal, okay? Look at this picture. Is there anything weird about this picture as you look at it? It's a high school track meet. Big ladder, that's right, big ladder. Bob Cottrell's a friend of mine in Utah. He won the US Masters pole vault competition. What that means, he's an athletic old dude. I love to give him a hard time, okay? He got back, his son said, I'm gonna be a pole vaulter like you, Dad. They built a pole vault pit in the backyard and they trained. Turns out Bobby was not as good as Bob. And Bobby kind of sucked at pole vault, but he kept trying and he got to high school and he competed, but he was 2 feet off. He set a goal that he was gonna break the Utah state record, 14 feet. Bobby's record was 12.6. On the day of his last meet, Bob gets a text from Bobby saying, Dad, the reason why people set unofficial records rather than official records is there's not a ladder to make an official measurement at the jump site. Will you please make sure you get a big ladder so when I break the record today, it'll be an official one. And Bob's like, you're at 12.6, the record's 14.1. You probably ain't breaking the record today, son. But he drove around his business, and he couldn't shake it, so he went to Home Depot and he bought the biggest ladder he could find. They call the pole vault, he goes out, awkwardly sets it up, turns around to Bobby, gives him the thumbs up, and Bobby started 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet, 11 feet, 12 feet, hits his personal record, and that day he kept going. This is the picture, my friends, of Bobby Cottrell setting the Utah state record that day. Okay? And Bob has told me ever since that not a day has gone by that he wonders what would have happened if I did not get that ladder there. My message to you as leaders, commit to your team to create new normals. And whatever your job is to help develop them to whatever they aspire to be, set that ladder in place for them. Set that ladder in place. Create new normals, process, individuality, and systems, and you too will be a dynasty builder. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you sharing some time. Go build a dynasty.